to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to another episode of A Well-Designed Business. Today on the show, I'm excited to tell you I have Orlando Soria with me. You probably already know Orlando, especially if you follow Instagram and especially if you follow Instagram stories. In fact, Domino Magazine just this past May 2018 named Orlando as one of the top 29 designers to follow on Instagram. This is what they said about him. Hilarious captions coupled with gorgeous interiors. What more could you want from an Instagram page? Go to his page for the impressive credentials, but stay for the humor. And I couldn't agree more. And the really good news is that there's so much more to him than these clever, engaging snippets of his day. Orlando is an interior designer. He is a writer. He's a visual artist, and he is the founder of the terrifically entertaining and informative blog Hommemaker, which he cleverly spells Homme, the French word for man. So Hommemaker is his little play on man maker, which is exactly what Orlando is. And this is just the beginning of the new and funny words that Orlando is adding to our vocabulary. Others include ormomdo for his mom, and orcondo for his home, or Orlandad for his dad. The list goes on. It's pretty funny. Orlando got his start on HGTV as Emily Henderson's on-camera assistant on the Hommemaker series, Secrets from a Stylist. During our conversation today, Orlando shares the background on exactly how this happened. And he talks about also his gratitude for his parents and how they made it possible for him to earn not one, but 4 degrees from Ivy League schools. He attended and graduated from Cornell University's College of Architecture, Art and Planning, and the University of Pennsylvania School of Design. He also shares his observation in the conversation today about as valuable as education is. He explains that it's also, in his opinion, luck that plays a part in the things that you do that lead to your success. Orlando's first book, Get It Together, was just released in this past spring of 2018. I encourage you to get your hands on this book if you don't have it already. It's very cleverly written, and his body of interior design work is impressive. All right, now in his book, in his blog, in his Instagram, and in this interview, Orlando is unpretentious. He's charming and he's thoughtful. Orlando often thinks about how design, art, writing, how they all influence our world, and he carefully thinks about his place in all of this and the contributions that he makes. I think you're going to find, on one hand, I think you're going to find him exactly the way you expect him to be. On the other hand, I think you'll learn to see how much more is happening there as well. It's a really good conversation. I hope that you enjoy it. Before we do get to the interview, I want to give you a quick reminder. If you haven't already heard, I'm hosting a live business coaching event in Las Vegas this July 28th, 2018. If you are an interior designer or other creative entrepreneur, and if you know that you have the passion and the desire to be successful in your business, but you struggle with being profitable and you can't seem to figure out the next step, you need a little clarity and a little help, this is a small group coaching event with 5 of us business coaches and a very limited number of creative entrepreneurs that we are inviting and having at this event. So it is a paid event. You do have to register, but we are making a promise to you that if you have a struggle in your business, if you reached a plateau or you need help with focus on your next step, you're going to leave this day with exactly that. So if you'd like some more information on this powerful day, please head over to luannigara.com/Las-Vegas. luannigara.com /Las-Vegas. Okay, I'm excited to introduce you to Orlando. Hi, Orlando. Thank you so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I am fangirling here right now. So this is probably, yeah, it's so funny. I was just sharing with Orlando in our pre-air conversation how anybody that knows me knows that I'm not a reality TV person, and I'm not even much of a stories person on Instagram. If I happen to open the Instagram app and somebody that I know personally, maybe I've interviewed them on the show or something like that, their story is right there, then I'll watch it. And then I'm usually like, oh, this is fun to watch this. But I have no idea. I think I was probably listening to somebody, watching somebody's story that I knew, and yours came on. And normally, as soon as the next one comes on, it's somebody I don't know, I just click off. I'm like, okay, now I can be off. But your story,
who do you watch religiously?
Nobody. That's my point.
Oh.
I only randomly put it on. And if the first 2 or 3 at the top are somebody that I personally know, like a designer that I've interviewed before on the show, I'll be like, oh, let me see what Cheryl's doing today, or let me see what, Kim Hager's doing today, and I'll watch, right? But if I look and it's all people I don't know, I'm like, all right, forget it. I'm out of here. And so what happens is if I watch the first one of somebody I know, and then because you know how it rolls right into the next one, it like hooks you in. It's like, those Netflix shows that just like in 4 seconds, the next one's starting. And you're just like, all right, we got to stay here for another hour, right?
It can be addicting.
Exactly.
I watched them for the first time in a really long time last night and was like, oh, I forgot these are fun.
Yeah, right? And so yours came on. And normally as soon as a stranger comes on, I'm like, that's it, click off, get out of here, or you're in a rabbit hole. But yours came on, and I just was like, this kid is hysterical. And so then now every day I'm looking for Orlando, and what is he doing?
Well, sometimes I don't post at all, and then sometimes I post way too much. I'm a very up and down social media person.
Yeah, it's funny.
I'm not great at the consistency. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty good at posting every day, but sometimes there's a lot, and sometimes there's
yeah. Well, are you having somebody edit some of them because there's music in there, like a little? I'm like, how is he doing all of this?
No, I mean, sometimes I'll play music on my phone. I'm also the biggest technical idiot in the world, so there's no fancy things going on.
Sometimes it looks pretty fancy.
Yeah, no, it's mostly just people don't know that you can basically turn the timer on and then move away from the camera. So people are always like, how are you filming this without touching it? I'm like, it's actually really easy. But I don't want you to know, because if that's one trick that I know that no one else knows, it gives me one head up.
Well, I actually thought you had to have a whole production team. I thought, oh, there's music, there's this, and there's that.
No, I'm
that's so funny.
An idiot with it.
That's so funny. So what happens is my loyal listeners know that the next thing that happens as soon as somebody catches my eye is then I go to their website and I want to learn about them. And so then when I went to learn about you, I found out that you had a brand new book. And the book is Get It Together. All right. An interior designer's guide to creating your best life. And so then I was very intrigued. And of course, then I reached out and asked if you would be on the show. And you said yes. And that was very exciting. And I totally fangirled on that.
Hey. Well, I'm happy you have the book and that you got to see it.
Yes. And I have been reading it and going through, my daughter as well. And we're cracking up. I mean, I just mentioned to you this one thing, how to make your home more inviting and more intimidating.
Yeah.
So what I love about this book, Orlando, is that you are your genuine self, the same person that intrigued me in the Instagram stories. Funny, charming, sweet, self-deprecating, just willing to be open and vulnerable. But what I love about the book is that all of that's there, and then the design is really actually very beautiful. And the advice is also, the lessons and the advice in it are also legit, but wrapped up into your zany personality, which is just so, it's addicting a little bit.
Thank you.
It is. So tell us about the process of writing this book. I mean, what was that like? Was this 1 year, 5 years? How did that go?
Yeah, so I mean, basically just from the concept, like I did want it to be something that was like beautiful and aspirational, but my main goal was that it be really entertaining and engaging. So throughout the whole process, like I kept pushing for things to be really funny and silly and playful, and the publisher wanted to make sure that there was a lot of tangible information in there. So thank God for my editor who, you know, really made sure that there were lots of tips and tricks in there, because otherwise I would have just wanted to play.
In a comedy book.
Yeah, like I want to just look at pretty pictures and then make jokes. But so I'm happy with the way that turned out. So basically what happened is that just because of my blog and my social media, different people started reaching out to me about doing books. So I met with a few different companies, different publishers, and ended up ultimately going with the one that I thought would let me do what I wanted to do. I met with a few other ones that had really specific ideas about how they wanted the book to be structured. And I've had multiple friends write books that I really liked, but didn't necessarily feel like sitting down and reading because they were formulaic. So I wanted to make sure that I got to control the book in a way that made it the unique book that I really wanted it to be. So I ended up going with Prestel, which is a part of Random House. The next step after choosing a publisher is that you put together a book proposal. And if I had to do it all over again, I would take that part way more seriously, because the publisher really holds you to, sorry, just a second. The publisher really holds you to the contents of that book proposal. So there were parts of the book that by the time I had to write it, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to write about this, that I might have taken out if I had written the book proposal at a different time. I like, and I think if you ask most authors this, they'll say something similar or maybe even less. I like 85% of the book a lot. Like I love it. And then there's like parts of it that I'm like, if I just do that again, I would do something differently. I normally hate my own work after I make it. So that's a much higher success rate than I normally would have. Like, because I also like make paintings and other kinds of artwork and stuff that like when I look back on it a year on, I'm like, I don't like that anymore. So that's pretty good. But there are parts that I would have changed if I had known that I would have.
And I can see not really realizing that they're going to hold you to it. I'm surprised to know that as well. You would think, this is my book. You want to know what it's going to be about. Okay, here's the outline. But when I get going creatively and I start writing it, I'm going to take this out. I'm going to add this. And they're like, no dice.
Well, I considered it more of like a sales document, the book proposal. And it really is a planning document. You know, it like is what you plan on doing.
Interesting.
So
that's a great distinction. That's a great way to do to make the distinction as well. I also just recently published a book. It came out in February, but I self-published it. And so the thing about that is that, to your point, what was the first 10 or 12 chapters of the outline when I did it, they did not all become the chapters. I actually have 4 or 5 chapters saved in my computer of chapters, cut out. And I figured, all right, well, you worked hard on those darn babies. Let's just save them, and maybe you'll use them down the road somewhere. But I wouldn't have wanted to be held to the fire on that was a plan, as opposed to, I would have thought the same thing, that it was a pitch and not a plan.
Mm-hmm.
So good lesson.
How did you keep yourself motivated when you were writing that? Because the one thing that I don't understand is like, it was hard enough to motivate myself when I had an editor harassing me. But how did you do it without somebody else being like, hey, you have to do this by next week?
Well, the reality of it is that I did a version of self-publishing. So on one hand, it's self-published, that I didn't go through and have to do the pitch and, get accepted in on the other thing. But on the other hand, I actually hired out the process of doing it. So I did all the writing, but there was a professional editor that did for grammar and punctuation, right? Mm-hmm. And then they were facilitating. I designed the cover, but they had the cover made. Like, I didn't have to talk to the guy that makes the cover. And then to make the book be a book, to typeset it and to do that, I didn't do any of that. It all came with the service. And even as far as uploading it to Amazon and all of that technical, I didn't do any of that. I paid for that. And so what happened was the deal is that you pay up front. So that's very motivating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
guess that would be motivating. It's just like hard enough to like structure your thoughts enough to write a book. Yeah, there's so much, it's so easy to like procrastinate. I actually knew that I wasn't going to be able to concentrate if I were in LA, so I went to my parents' house for 2 months. The way that basically, so I wrote the book proposal. There were months and months of, planning and back and forth about the production of the book. And I was working at my previous job at that time, and I didn't really have time except for on the weekends to do all the photo shoots. The book involved about 30 photo shoots, and a photo shoot itself is normally days of prep per photo shoot. So it was very labor intensive in terms of the imagery that was created for the book. Mm-hmm. So scheduling all that was pretty difficult. So basically I got laid off from my job, dumped pretty much simultaneously at the end of 2016, beginning of 2017. And I used that sort of mess I had time. So like it was the worst time because I was in a terrible emotional place, but it was also the best time because I had time because I didn't have a full-time job anymore. So I did all the photo shoots really quickly in 5 months. Actually, a few of them had been done in fall of 2016, but most of them happened in spring 2016. Or sorry, 2017. And then once all those photo shoots were done, I immediately left LA for 2 months and wrote the entire book in that little chunk. Wow. And I would just go to, my parents live in Sonoma County, like an hour north of San Francisco. And I would go to like little coffee shops up there and sit and just be like, you're going to finish this section today. And I would do it. But sometimes even when you're under a lot of pressure, it's like, what do I write for this?
It's a process. And, I really, my hat's off to you on yours because it is what you set out to be. You said that you wanted to really make it accessible, to make it a book that people wanted to read and not just a book to look at. And that's exactly what happens with this book.
Yeah, I mean, that's my goal. I don't want to, I always go to like design events that are like for, to the trade designer type people. And I feel so turned off by them because I'm much more interested in how design relates to people's everyday lives and their emotional lives and their history with their families and their relationship to home and what they do in it, more than, just sort of like trade events where everybody's trying to sort of let you know how large their design vocabulary is and, how wealthy their clients are, et cetera. We wanted it to have that accessible vibe that was for the everyday person that doesn't know anything about design.
Do you think that comes from your upbringing? You're raised in Yosemite. You were raised out in the woods with your parents and your siblings. Mm-hmm. And you have this gift and you have this talent. Clearly, you're a gifted writer. You're a gifted designer. You have that in you. And of course, you have also developed it and nurtured it. But do you think that wanting to make the connection and keeping it to the everyday person that you are helping them access into your design, people that are not normally going to hire a designer, do you think it comes from growing up in a place that wasn't pretentious, that wasn't about the beautiful windows and walking up Fifth Avenue? Mm-hmm. Like, have you thought about what that is, or is it just who you are and you would have been the same way you think if you did grow up on Fifth Avenue?
No, I mean, I think I definitely had like an extremely humble, my dad is a doctor. My mom's a school teacher. We're not like from the poor rural or whatever, but my parents both grew up pretty poor. And I think that they both felt that design was something that was inaccessible to them, or that they, having a beautiful, perfect home was something that was above them. And what's been really fun is that I've recently been doing a lot of makeover projects at their new house that they bought up in Sonoma County. And it's like really fun to be like, yes, you deserve a beautiful home that is well thought out and completely composed. And this is something that's accessible to you that isn't out of your reach.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I think that there's a part of it that, I didn't grow up in homes that were designed by professional interior designers. And most of the people that I know in my life didn't either. So I I want people to just feel that that's something that's accessible to them, and be as helpful as I can in facilitating that.
Yeah, it's, you never know what it is. It's always the culmination of all of your experiences that, make each of us who they are. But
Mm-hmm.
that is a particularly unique upbringing,
Mm-hmm.
to be brought up in Yosemite. But I have seen some of your lives with your mom.
Everybody loves her because she's so sweet.
She is. She is. You were doing, and I love that you call her Ormando. I can't even say it.
Ormando. So here's what it is. Ormando or Londad or Lon Bro or Brolondo for my brother, but we can't think of one for my sister, which
Oh, wow. Oh, that's
so
funny. Yeah.
or
Like you've been,
Sisto
or
or Londa. We haven't my name is good because you can think of a lot of like ways to integrate other things into it.
I know you have Orlando and
Yeah.
so you've
So
tried every variation of her name, of her nicknames, of everything.
well, her name is Elisa, so it could be Orlandisa, but like it's so specific that I don't
Yeah.
know. It's not as good as branding as Ormando is.
Ormando. I know. Ormando.
Yeah. Someone
Elisa.
recently thought of another one for my aunts, which is Orlanto.
This is what I'm saying. You guys crack me up.
I mean, I love any sort of like wordplay or pun, so that's
Yeah.
like right up my alley.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. But she was on the other day and she was like, go away. And you're like, what? What's the matter, Mom? We're filming.
She's she's like a very practical lady. I think a lot of people relate to that because a lot of people's moms are like that, where they're just like very nice, very sincere, very serious people. And there's something really beautiful in that. And also, like, my mom is responsible for a lot of my creativity. I think my humor comes from my dad and my creative space. Like, growing up, like, we would come to New York because my uncle lived in New Jersey. He lived in Ridgewood. And we'd go in and we'd go to like the Met and be there all day, or like we'd go to San Francisco a lot and go to the SF MoMA. So we were dragged around to like art museums and, ballet performances and stuff. And like that really engendered this interest in the arts in us at a really young age. And my mom has also been such a maker her whole life. She loves to sew. Like at Christmas, she would make everything, like all these gingerbread houses or like anything that Martha Stewart thought of, she thought of too. So I got that sort of excitement and sense of creativity from watching her.
And and not only just that it comes out into your design, but you are also a big DIYer and a maker and a creator of art and things like that too, right?
Yeah, there's something, look, this thing right behind me I made.
Oh, no way.
It's like a funny wall hanging. That I did with like out of stuff I found at the hardware store. But I mean, I like the idea of making something because it's kind of empowering, and sometimes it can be a way to have something that feels really high end and handmade in your home that you're not necessarily paying thousands of dollars for. There's obviously a fine line with it. It can look terrible and cheesy if you do it the wrong way. So I try to do it in a way that is really elegant and well done. And I think obviously the queen of that is Martha Stewart. She's like figured out a way to, that brand is all about how can we make things in our homes that are really elegant and high end and beautiful and craft, and if you look at all the crafts, if you look at Pinterest and look at most of the crafts, most of them are terrible, but Martha has figured out how to do them in like an amazing way.
So is that a horizon for you, that you like want to be the male Martha Stewart and like cash in on that? And you're already, I mean, your book is teaching people how to make their homes beautiful. Is this a career path for you? You emulate that?
Yeah, I mean, I just have endeavored to make my living off of my creativity since I got out of school. I would love to keep being inspiring to people to make things themselves or to try out projects in their homes. And that's kind of like what I'm doing with my blog and with my Instagram and social media stuff.
Good. Very good. Well, it's working. It's definitely working. Yeah.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about being on TV. Let's just go down that, because I know people, this is the types of things that designers like to know about, and what was it really like? And so you spent time being the style stylist with Emily Henderson. Tell me about that experience from the standpoint of your career and of the return on doing it, on the actual how many hours a day, a week, a month did it take, and did it do anything beneficial to your career? Because you have a lot of people that aspire to do these things, and sometimes you have to ask somebody, what's your why? What do you want to get from it?
Mm-hmm.
So you've done it and been through it, and what would you look back and say was the lessons or the values that you got from it?
I think that was just such an interesting experience. It came at a time where I just really needed a break. I had been doing not a break as in I needed a big break, not a break from work.
No, you needed a break, and something had to happen.
Yeah, so I spent most of my 20s sort of trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I did graphic design, was laid off from that job because I graduated during the Great Recession. And then I started doing production design and set design and applied for a job that I didn't know was an on-camera role. And I had been doing set design for movies and music videos and stuff. That ended up being that role on Secrets from a Stylist, which completely changed my life. I learned how to do interior design basically on that show, which was interior design boot camp, because we would design one space twice every week. And we had 6 days to source and install this stuff.
Wow.
So it was an insane turnaround, just figuring out how to get things, how to get them quick, how to get them in and out of a space on a budget. It was very grueling, but it was just a great design education for both Emily and I. She had just gotten off of Design Store and previously had been a professional photo stylist. So she wasn't a professional interior designer at that point either.
Right.
So the experience, I think, from the outside, I would have never imagined how much work a show like that is from watching it. The first episode, Emily and I slept over at the house the night before the reveal because we were working until 4 a.m.
So you mean you napped at the house?
Yeah.
Basically.
And we didn't know each other. So it was just very quick, meeting a new, friend that will always be family now, figuring out the design, figuring out a TV show. I had been on sets kind of a lot because of my previous job, but I had never been the person that was expected to do a ton of logistical stuff and then also be happy on camera. So that was a good experience. I think, just in terms of how that changes your career, everything that has happened since then is probably the result of that little snowball effect of you get this one little bit of publicity, and then that helps you all the much more get another job or another opportunity. So I don't know what I would be doing at this point if I hadn't done that. It's hard to know. It was definitely a strike of luck that I think about all the time, and that I think, here I spent my entire life jumping through hoops thinking that I have to get straight A's and I have to do all these things and I have to go to these fancy schools and blah, blah, blah. And then the thing that ended up getting me to where I am is that some casting director in Canada liked the way my face and my demeanor were, which is kind of a terrible thing to realize. You're I could have done nothing. I think that it's good that I worked hard, but it kind of and this is why I get so mad at people who have good fortune, who are so entitled about it and are oh, I worked really hard for this, so I deserve this. And it's no, there's so many decisions that have been made for you that are the result of luck and good fortune, that you just have to express gratitude for those things and not be and not be insensitive to other people who haven't achieved those things yet, because not everybody has the same opportunities.
Right.
So in terms of telling other people how to lead their careers, I always try to encourage people not to be too hard on themselves, because there is a certain amount that is left to chance. And I think as Americans, it's hard for us to hear, because we want to believe that good work always results in success. And that's not always 100% true. Opportunities aren't the same for everybody.
Right. You're right. You're right. I mean, within all of the things that you just said, there's a couple of things that occur to me is that, of course, that is true, that it isn't always just if you work hard, everything will work out. I mean, there is an element of luck and being in the right place in the right time. However, I would also say that even though that exact moment seemed like the casting director just loved the way your face looked and your demeanor on character on screen, also your education, your upbringing, the way you were raised and everything else, and the way you did work hard to get A's and the way you did understand that it takes hard work. I think that those things come into it in a subliminal way. So maybe he would have liked the way that you looked and he liked the way your personality was on camera, but once he got you in for the interview, if you didn't have a brain in your head or you were not a grateful and a humble person, you know, it might have been like next out of the lane. So I do believe and I hear what you're saying, that you are humble and you are grateful for the strokes of luck here and there. But I also know from your background and the things that I've learned and read about you that you are a hardworking, serious man.
I thought I wanted to go to law school, so I thought I needed really good grades, and I was also in like every student club. And then afterwards I was like, because I talked to other people who had fun in college, and I'm like, what was that like? Like, why didn't I do that? Because then I graduated from school and I like couldn't even get a job. I was like, what's the point of anything that I just did? And I think that's why I'm so sensitive to the fact that opportunity is often very circumstantial and not like that things aren't necessarily 100% fair, because I did have such a period of time where I struggled for so long, even to just get like a job at Billy's Bakery in Chelsea, you know, like I couldn't get any job. I applied for thousands of jobs that I didn't get. And is it for you having a better experience of your whole life, or is it for the very tangible thing of you getting a job immediately upon graduation? And I'd say, like, you know, I went on a trip back to Ithaca with some friends about a year ago and was just filled with like, wow, I was really lucky that I got to do this and that my parents paid for it. And there are so many privileges involved in that I don't take lightly and that I will be thankful for forever. So, yeah, so I don't regret anything. It's just like, I think that our sort of utilitarian approach to it isn't always maybe the right one, that there are benefits to education that aren't necessarily going to be job related.
Right. No, I agree. You can't negate being at the right place at the right time. I 100% agree with that. But an education of any level is always valuable. And of course, to have the ability, the brain power, truly, to have 2 degrees from 2 Ivy League schools and to succeed at that level is just mind-blowing to me, actually.
And probably surprising to some people because I act like such an idiot on Instagram.
Well, that's what I liked about it. You see, that's what happened was your charm and your silliness attracted me. But then when I went reading about you, I was like, this kid is smart and he has got something going on in his head. I want to meet him, you know? So I think that's terrific. That's awesome.
Well, and now we did it.
That's it. We did it. So I just want to point out before I let you go, you have this do you say it homemaker? Like, do you say it like the French?
I just say homemaker, but it's written like the French word for man. It's something that like works well visually, but doesn't necessarily work well saying it, which is fine because it's a blog.
That's right.
But sometimes when you have to say it, you're like,
yeah, I was like, does
I pronounce it in French?
Right.
No, I think you can just say homemaker.
So I love this blog, Hommemaker. I love the way you go into home equals man, maker, a person who produces things. I just think I love you. You have your beliefs and your mission statement are hysterical. I just, everything you do, even your beliefs and mission statement, is the true mix of the zaniness and the real person that cares and thinks about their environment and their place. And by environment, I recognize that it means about the greater environment, in the world that you care about, but also their environment of their interactions with people. You really do very smartfully and very artfully convey both sides of your personality, the zany side and the thoughtful, intelligent side. You do a great job at it. Not everybody can do that. I think.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there is so much personal in the world of domesticity and interior design. You know, it seems like it's this sort of like superficial, what things look like type of endeavor, but it really has to do with people's own history, how they relate to space, what they want to do in their home, like even one's own response to like a different piece of furniture is based on their own history. So some people are like, ugh, I hate that dresser, it reminds me of my grandma's house, and other people are like, oh my god, I love that dresser, it reminds me of my grandmother's house.
Right.
And like different, and so people process just even like the semiotics of design in completely different ways based on things that they've seen, experiences they've had, interpersonal relationships they've had that are all going to be unique.
Yeah.
And I think that's like super fascinating because it's obviously just like up to the eye of the beholder whether or not something is beautiful or not.
Right. It actually just puts it right out there that this is crazy. I can't even evaluate this. It's such a personal evaluation every single time over and over again. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So before I let you go, what's next? You've got this book out. You are doing your blog. What's on the horizon for you? What are you looking forward to? What are you thinking about now?
So I am really wanting to do more stuff with video. So I actually am shooting a pilot for a major network, which I cannot name, but you probably know which one it is if you think not very hard. And so I'm really hoping that goes because it's like a really good idea. And like, I genuinely like, I think I'm just down to earth enough to know when things are stupid and when things are like great that I do. And it's like, it's the funnest idea I've had since I like set out to like conceptualize a TV show. It combines love and romance and heartbreak and interior design in a way that I think people will really enjoy. So that will hopefully shoot before the end of the summer, and then we would know by fall.
Is it a reality show or is it
Yeah, it's a reality. I'm the host. And then whether or not that goes, I think I want to start some sort of video content that's under my own control. So like a YouTube type thing to translate the type of silly design commentary that I do on Instagram into something that has more of a permanent life online and doesn't disappear.
Yeah, you're a natural at it. At it. You really are.
Thank you.
Honestly, I've had more than a couple of people that when I've shared it with them in my family, they're like, what, you watch this now? Like, not because you're not entertained, but they just can't fathom.
Because it's so weird.
It's so off of my normal thing, but there's just something about you that just gets me in there. I just have to watch it.
Maybe because it's like kind of about design, but it's also like about everything. I really genuinely don't think you have to like be interested in design to be at least into the Insta story type stuff.
Well, and I think that's actually, you just nailed it, because it isn't mostly about the design, because I'm not interested in the design. It's mostly about the way that you observe things and you have commentary on things and the way that you'll say something. I'm like, yeah, I wonder about that too.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that the show is going to be exciting. So it's you're doing the pilot and then hoping that it gets picked up.
And then we'll know.
You'll have to come back if it goes.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited. Keep your fingers crossed. But like, even if it doesn't happen, I'll be really excited that I even got to film it and whatever. And if this one doesn't happen, I think something else will, because the energy is sort of heading in that direction.
Yeah.
So,
right. Well, and I would say from a business standpoint, if it doesn't happen, go and build your YouTube channel and make them find you, because if you bring all of us to YouTube, then the studios and the TVs will have to be like, well, this kid has got everybody following him, so they'll bring you back. You know what I'm saying? Then you'll hold the cards.
Something that I've kind of figured out from living in LA long enough, because most of my friends are either in the design world or they're blogger, influencer type people, or they are like actor, writer type people. So I'm around people constantly who are auditioning for things, who are asking to tell their story, who are asking to get the opportunity to communicate. And I think that you have to have projects that are under your own control, like things like a blog or things like a YouTube, or just things that you don't have to go asking for permission for your right to communicate or your right to express yourself. So I am a firm believer in, like, if you don't get the opportunities that you seek out, to create them on your own. So I definitely agree with you there that, like, if it doesn't come to fruition in a network sense, it'll come to fruition in my own sort of sense.
Right. Well, you have all the makings of it. You have like I said before, the personality, the charm, the smarts, the experience, everything. I'm not worried one bit about your future.
Thank you.
So
yes.
Really. So thank you so much for taking the time to be with me here today and like letting me fangirl on you. It's so crazy.
Of course, it was an honor.
I really did enjoy learning more about you and getting the chance to talk to you firsthand after reading the book. And I'm going to keep watching you on stories. So
thank you.
All right.
Please
Thank
do.
you so much, Orlando.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Orlando. I certainly did. I think what I love the most is that he is exactly as he is on social media. What you see is what you get. And if you do watch his stories and you specifically have seen the ones where he talks about his sponsors, you can hear that he believes in the companies that he aligns himself with. And this is because outside of the specific sponsor content, when he's sharing his day-to-day in real life, we can see how the things that he talks about are then the same sorts of companies and things that he sponsors. In other words, his values align with the values of the people that he collaborates and sponsors with. Okay. And the thing is that this is a key takeaway for you and your business too. Now, maybe you don't have the need or opportunity for sponsors, but what do you write about in your blog? And what do you show and feature in your Instagram feed? Do you show the world what you believe in? This is critical. You need to show the world what you stand up for and present yourself as your true, authentic self. Because this way, when a client does find you through Instagram or your blog, when that potential client actually speaks to you and calls on you, you want them to have the same experience that we just had with Orlando here. You want them to say, whoa, you are as exactly as I imagined and I hoped you'd be. I feel like I know you already. Isn't that the key to everything in life and in business? To understand your own personal core values and then express them so that your ideal client can relate to you and find you. If Orlando inspired you today, be sure to let him know on Instagram and let him know that you are cheering for him and hoping that his new TV show and that pilot gets picked up and it will be a huge hit. Lastly, let me be true to my business beliefs and thank the sponsors of this podcast, starting with My Doma Studio, the best software platform for managing your interior design business. All your projects, invoices, mood boards, vendor communications, all in one place. Visit mydomastudio.com/a-well-designed-business. And we have Cravat Inc., the leader and your trade resource for the highest quality fabric, wallpaper, furniture, rugs, and accessories. For the trade only, you can get an additional 10% off any one Cravat fabric, wallpaper, or trim purchase. Simply use the code AWDB10 at checkout. We also have Camp Chroma as a show sponsor. Camp Chroma is your online on-demand resource to learn how to become an expert color strategist. This course is for you if you want to confidently select interior or exterior colors every single time. This course is good for you whether you are an interior designer or not. For more information, go to campchroma.com. These are the companies that I believe in, and I thank them for making this podcast possible. Check them out and let me know what you think. All right, if you want more information on anything that is having to do with this podcast, the guests that I have on it, the live events that I'm having, the coaching events that I'm having, or my book, just head over to luannenigara.com. unpretentious.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. Decide to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at luannigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.